I had the first question, when can I get a job?
We're recording.
Hey, I want a job. And that never works.
He doesn't know the rejections that I face.
So product managers are not mini CEOs of the company. You are someone who does the job of the CEO with no power at all.
We started working together.
Yeah.
And then you started getting interviews.
Yeah.
Dushyant, we have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. You are a student of How to Job and you are a successful job seeker. So we're going to find out a little bit more about your story, what you've done, and what you're actually doing at the moment. So tell everyone a little bit about you.
So first of all, thank you for having me, Vaibhav and Milo. So yeah, I did my MBA from University of Bath. I came into this country 2 years ago and, started looking for jobs a year ago. Was a bit difficult market, especially, when all those layoffs were going on, especially in the FANG companies, and the market was kind of dodgy at that moment. So the first few months, you get to start, you tend to get a bit,
Disappointed.
Yeah.
It's very easy to anyone coming out of the university because you have so much energy. It's like, okay, I need to get a job. But when you actually go about applying to them and start getting those rejection emails, and everyone was like, it's like another stab.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, another.
And you come up with this. You come with this assumption like, oh, I have like 5 years of experience. Yeah, an MBA will do it for me, and it's gonna be job seeker. The employers would be right at the door for me, giving jobs. But then when you get into the market and you see the reality, it is much more competitive. So yeah, the first few months were a bit difficult. Then I joined Milo. I got to know there was a certain structure that was missing in my job search.
Yep.
I mean, I was applying to jobs left and right. I mean, there was a point I was applying to 100 jobs a day, and there would be even many colleagues of mine, they were crossing 1,000, 2,000 and getting 10, 20 interviews, and it gets to a point okay, maybe either you don't know anything or there are no jobs at the moment, and then you tend to follow Milo's advice of 10 ad notes a day. And at first he's like, you're going to follow, you're going to do 100 notes a week, and you're going to get this certain percentage of conversion rate, and you're going to get these information interviews. I mean, what this guy's talking about? Has he even applied to a job? But maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, maybe
and then
he
I actually tried.
He doesn't know the rejections that I face. But
yeah,
man. But before we get into that, I would love to know the company that you're currently working in and what role are you currently in, and what does the company do holistically, and where do you fit in?
So yeah, I'm a product manager at EquiVital. So we are building wearable tech devices.
Okay.
These wearable tech devices are almost healthcare, but not really healthcare, to reduce heat stress related injuries at work. And we basically developing these wearable tech devices for first line defenders like army men, firefighters, and basically research. So for example, oil rig workers, for example Shell, they might have 3,000 people working for them, and they want to know which particular worker might be prone to heat stress related injury because they work in very harsh environments. And we are developing these small, it's called EQ Life Band. You just pop it up on your arm. It will, monitor all your heart rate, your core temperature estimate, and, your employee can see out of 3,000, these 10 guys, are at a risk. So you got to pull them off. Or they need some hydration. Or their heart rate is too high. Need to give some rest. So we are our mission is to make sure to reduce heat stress related injuries in the US, and I'm a product manager for that, making sure the company's vision, what we're trying to do for the customer needs, company's vision aligns together and adds value to both customer and the business. So I'm kind of at the center of the tech, business, and the marketing. I mean, that's what they say about product management. That's more to that.
A product manager is such a wide title, and it means so many different things in so many different companies. But you put it very well. And I want to understand a little bit more about when your company is developing these tech.
Yeah.
Are they already working with companies like Shell, or do they make the product first and then reach out to them as okay, we have this product? Or do they work in collaboration with these companies to make those tech, and these companies come to you guys as okay, this is what we want you guys to work on us with, and can you please create a tech on that?
So there's this process of assessing a product market fit. As a CEO of a company or a product manager, they need to know what your potential customer, what their consumer pain points and what their needs are, and you tend to see, okay, they are looking for a certain, they have so and so problem and looking for a certain product to meet that need. And as a company, you need to think like, okay, in these 3 months, I might have the financials and the tech capability to come up with a product that might fit their needs and add business to my value. So it's kind of a two-way thing. It's not like, okay, you come up with an idea and you just release the product. So you've heard of this word called MVP, minimum viable product.
Yep.
So every company, they go into market, they release like a minimum viable product. Like, okay, for example, I use this analogy every time. What's a perfect product? Like if your hair is on fire, a perfect product would be a glass of water.
Okay.
Or a hose.
I'm going a little bit too extreme, but fire extinguisher or a glass of water.
Yeah, that's like a perfect product.
Minimum viable. So minimum,
But if your hair is on fire and I have a brick in my hand, you're like, yeah, give me a brick. I need to, get off the air. So that's the MVP. And companies come up with an MVP to meet the consumer needs. And then they get a feedback, what can be better. And they start working on it. That's where the term, the most used word in UK right now, agile. That's where the word agile comes from. Like agile is basically you keep on iterating from the feedback that you get. So all these companies have these agile sprints and everything. So sprints is basically what you get a particular feedback from your product, or you see something's not working for the product. As a product manager, I get that information from my marketing, sales, sometimes higher management, what they think. And I kind of translate those business requirements into technical requirements, explain it to the tech team. And, this is what our vision is. That's what we are planning. And this is how we're going to solve that problem. So I think from the perspective of both the technical side, what is possible, and if that thing can be done realistically in that timeline, and if that adds value, business value to it. So that's where I come in, and I translate that business jargon into a business need or customer need into a technical requirement, which they realize, and then we see how the product's behaving, and that's how it's going. And that's how every successful company or successful product managers do. I'm not calling myself not boasting of that, but that's the basic idea of product management, agile and sprints. That's what we keep on hearing about.
That's really, really well explained as well. In terms of, because I was looking at your title, product manager can mean so many different things, but I think the way you've just explained that actually breathes life into what it is, and also technically breaking it down. So other people that might want to get into that, they can see, okay, like the brick analogy for the hair on fire, that was really cool. And I think that's definitely something that you can think about as a MVP of a product, which is quite interesting. Now, what advice would you give to people that want to get into the same type of role?
So, I mean, I'm not saying this for everyone, but in most of the cases, people come from a tech background, but we've seen people coming from, accountancy, finance, who have a good understanding of the user side, how the user really feels, what the product does for it, and, can think from a business perspective. So that's all there it is. And you need to be flexible enough to understand the company's vision, strategy, and see the perspective of the tech side. Or, you may not be creating a tech product. You may be creating soaps, right? Or you may be creating this cup. So how this cup would feel in the hand if I'm, doing a podcast, or, I'm moving this around. So what is my need? That it shouldn't spill. It's small enough, should be on the table. And, that's the need. So product managers, not only in the tech background, they're in like FMCG products. They're in like entertainment also tech. But mostly tech one is very niche. And but there are FMCG products, fashion, and even construction as well. There are product managers. So yeah, there is a vast feel, and there's so much more to it. And
you can define it.
You don't really need to be from a tech background for that. That's what
It means a lot of different things. I think a product manager basically means who can work with both teams. I can take on, what the client wants, understand what the client wants, and in simple terms, relay it back to their team and the people that they work with, so that they get that done, and bridging the gap between the expectancy of the client and also what they can do in realistic timelines. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And funny enough, you said that. I wanted to learn more about what your day-to-day looks like and what your KPIs are as a product manager in your company.
Yeah. So I was actually coming to that, what the strengths. Maybe I'll finish that and come to that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So right now, if someone is looking to get into product management, it is advisable to, take like a certification or do like a course. Or the best thing to do a project. And mostly there's a very huge overlap with consultancy projects where, you try to understand a business case. So, case studies, business case, understanding your competitors, how you saw, identifying the problems and how you solve the problem. And most of the companies in product management are not looking for solution experts, but the people who are good at identifying problem and understanding the customer perspective and empathy. So, getting into that zone, practicing different case studies, learning about, business level prioritization, how you, come up with features. I mean, I can come up with, okay, this camera, should have X ton of features, but does it drive value to me? Or what do I get from it? So I need to come up with a specific set of features that drives the business value, that is, cost effective for the company and, can
Provides
be done.
value to the client.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, and there's certain kind of frameworks. I won't get into the specifics of that right now, but it would be advisable to, try to see how your previous experience and the business side of things can come together to add value to where your potential, final job is. And talking about my daily KPIs and what my daily job looks like. So, the day starts with a stand-up with the business team first. Not like a stand-up with the business team, a normal conversation, a meeting with the business team and the sales team to understand how the product is working, any particular issues we faced with the customer, or anything is there or not. If CEO thinks that, we should come up with a new feature of that sort, because they would come up with X hundreds amount of feature. Oh, we should do this, we should do that. Oh, we can do that. My job is to see, okay, let's take a step back. Let me see if, that is something that would add value to the work. Then you go back, you see, do we really need that? If there's a market demand for that, if it's really going to solve the problem, or we do that. And then you question them back, where you coming from, where is that need coming from? Do you think it can be done so and so? So these conversations happen with the business people. Then you have like a daily stand-up with the tech team on what they're already working on, how's the status. So that covers the project management side of it. So product management has a huge overlap of project management as well. So many product managers in many like medium-sized companies, they also work as product owner. So product owners work more closely with the tech team. Product managers work more closely with the business team. But in many cases, product managers do the work for product owners as well. And, you work with the tech team, how it's working in the sprints, if all the daily tasks have been done or not. If it's not done, if it's taking too much time, how we reprioritize the work, to make sure the most pressing need is solved in this particular step and we can release the product. And that's basically agile for you.
Yeah.
So this week, we need to do 7 features. We did 4. Why we did those 4? Those were the highest priority ones, covering the pressing needs, and you do that. Then some part of the day goes into, comparative research and comparative benchmarking of your product, what your competitors are doing, and you're understanding all those things. So,
makes sense.
Something like that, yeah.
You said one thing interesting, like people from different areas can get into the same type of role.
Yeah.
So product management being more like construction, finance, project management, being able to go in. There's one specific key skill. Someone's watching this right now. They're hearing what you're saying. They love everything you're saying. They want to do the same job. What is that one key skill you think that they should have to be successful at doing what you do?
Let me think 1 second.
Yep.
Take your
your
time.
time.
There are many key skills. One key skill would be,
Or top 3, if that helps you.
the first thing would be understanding perspectives
Okay.
from each side, the user, business, your team perspective. Second, keeping user and business value first. Don't go by assumptions, go by data.
I think that's a really good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think going by the numbers rather than what you think something could be about that. Okay.
Although intuition does help, and I mean, we've seen many companies who went by intuition and that this feels right, but that is like 1 in 100 case.
Sure.
And many reasons why most of these startups fail, because they tend to not do good user research, and that's like pretty big thing of understanding the users. So yeah, coming back to the one very key skill, and most of the employees that are looking for are not problem solvers, but people who can identify problems
Within the user base.
Yeah, because people don't really know what the problem is. They try to, and many in the interviews actually, and this is very interesting for people who are watching this video. People would go into interview and they would be given a case study. Okay, make LinkedIn better, and without understanding the user, the problem, they would directly jump to the solutions. And many of the companies have this main criteria: is we want someone who can identify problems. If there's a 40-minute question, you need to spend 30 minutes identifying the problem and like 5 or 10 minutes coming up with the solution. People can go on YouTube and look at these mock Google product managers interviews, and that's what all the companies are looking for: someone who can identify the problem, the real problem.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You can use all sorts of framework later on, but if you have a good product sense, can understand the problem, you're on the right path.
I think you've hit it on the right spot, because if you understand the problem, you are basically solution selling instead of selling the product itself, which a lot of companies try to do. And we have seen how that goes. But if you try to sell the solution by understanding what the product is, it becomes a better fit for both the client as well as the company. Then, because you're not, manufacturing unrealistic expectations, and you are actually thinking about the client from their perspective and from the client's perspective of okay, what an end user from the client side might need, and then you try to attack that. Very interesting.
So you have to be solution-minded, critical thinking, figuring out, like, it feels like a product manager is someone that kind of puts sanity back into like the company, saying like, oh, this can happen, we can do this, or like, that seems a little bit extreme, maybe we shouldn't like create a fire extinguisher to kind of put people's fire
He's
out.
someone who's creative, technical, and make sure it can be realistic what you're trying to achieve. And the reason all these companies look for people who can identify problems, because people tend to go towards solution and start working on it. They don't realize even developing one feature for a company, that takes like, for example, you have 3 developers and they're working for a week. That's like 8 man hours for 1 week. That's like 56 hours into 3. That's like 150 hours on something that you didn't need. So if you don't identify the problem correctly, you're just
wasting time and
wasting
money.
time for the company and wasting
100%.
money and no value. That's why problem identification is very, very important.
Excellent.
All the other things of solutioning and everything you can learn in an MBA, but this product sense is something you do by practice.
Man, I'm taking notes from that, man.
Oh yeah, I'm taking notes 100% right now.
Like, I haven't done an MBA, and I don't know if I will. My dad, if he's listening, he might not like that. but I do love to understand where these perspectives comes from, and having done an MBA, I think the way you just put it, it's very interesting. So I just wanted to scale it back a little bit and now talk to you about your journey of when you passed out, and what were your expectations when you just finished your course. And then what were your expectations in terms of finding a new job, and what sort of obstacles you faced when you were looking for
So
jobs?
you're talking about my MBA,
Once you finish
post MBA.
Yeah.
Your job search before, you're obviously happy right now. You're in a great job. You love what you do. It looks like it. You seem like a happy, positive guy, which is good. What was it like before you got into the job? Because we obviously started working together. You used How to Job to get into the company that you're in now. But before all of that, it wasn't exactly all plain sailing.
Oh, I would like to share a lot of it. So I started my MBA in 2022 September, and in MBA it's very competitive and like very high energy, and we had career teams with us as well, and we started applying for jobs right in within 3 months of MBA. So January 2023, all of us, all the batchmates, we started applying left and right, and unfortunately for us, that was not the best time to look for a job or switch from a role after an MBA. And we started to see the reality of the market. Like, okay, we're going out looking for jobs, trying to connect with people, sending easy apply. Yeah, that was the first stage. You go to LinkedIn, you could do easy apply on like 10, 20 jobs, hoping that, out of 20, 2 or 3 would come back to you, and there'll be an interview. And then you see you've applied to 100 jobs and there hasn't been a single interview. And that was the case for not just me, but most of the people. If you're like a subject expert who's applying for something that you were working before, because in MBA, basically people try to switch a role to something else. Like there have been people who come from tech to go to finance, or sales.
So many of my friends have done that. Yeah. So many.
Yeah, tech to and there's a very popular consultancy is very popular. People try to go to consultancy.
Deloitte, KPMG, PwC, all the big four.
And McKinsey.
How can I forget it?
So that's why people do MBA. And I was doing the same thing. Although I was a product owner in my previous company, I wanted to go into product management, and I was firstly engineer, then product owner, more technical. I want to go more towards the business side. So when I started applying for jobs, and things were not going through. And January, February, March, April, 1 interview. May, June, July, 2nd interview, nothing. And then there's December 2023. I've finished my MBA. I've had only 3 interviews with like hundreds of applications.
And 1 year of constantly applying.
Yeah,
and you just got 3 interviews.
Yeah, and this was the reality for most of the students. And I know people who've been, who just finished their masters last year and, been applying since 2 years, don't have a job still now.
Yeah.
And
I've spoken to people 2 years applying, nothing. But in your case, when we started speaking, you said to me like 1 year, 3 interviews, absolutely nothing. And not even 3 interviews getting to the final stage. This is like just screening calls, maybe like a face-to-face, but not an actual like full-fledged interview, right?
Yeah. And then back in September 2023, I realized, okay, maybe I'm looking for something that, maybe MBA is not enough for. And then I tried to understand, product managers. People don't even know what product management actually is. They tend to confuse, even companies tend to confuse product management and project management. They are 2 completely different things, not same at all.
There's a very good chance there's an opening in a company and people are like, I don't know whether it's, let's just put it at product manager role and list the KPIs that we want. And I think it's such a wide title that is tailored to each company. A product manager might be different in Google, whereas a project manager in Amazon or Tesla or maybe in a finance company might be completely different.
And in many companies, these alternative roles like program manager, they tend to take up roles of product owner and then going to product manager. But most of the companies do know what product manager does, but it's a very niche and very specific kind of role. And you need to be an expert at that because you're basically behind the product success. Something mess up, you're the person who was responsible for that. I
don't want to be that, man.
Exactly.
Something is successful, everyone. That's the thing about product managers. They call product managers as the mini CEOs of the company. Completely untrue.
Really?
So product managers are not mini CEOs of the company because you are someone who does the job of the CEO with no power at all.
That's a very interesting way of putting it.
Things work out, it worked out because of everyone. If things don't work out, it was because of you.
Right. Interesting. But in your case, you knew what you were looking for. You knew it was a product manager role and you were applying and then nothing was happening. What was the main issue, do you think, then, knowing what you know now? Why that was happening? Was it market saturation? Was it the CV? Was it lack of networking? What was the main sort of game changer?
Main thing, even though I was a product owner before, not really knowing product management to the core. And even though knowing, not really knowing how to translate that in your resume. So back in September, I went up to many mentors online, and there are many mentors. There's people who are product managers themselves, and try to do a resume review there and try to understand that impact that you created in your previous company matter a lot. The numbers in your resume, how crisp your resume is, because a product manager should be a good, effective communicator. And you can't communicate that through your resume, then maybe you're not the right person for the job. Like if you have like a 10, 20 bullets for one role and your CV is going past 3 pages, maybe something, you haven't done well. And you're looking for product manager, but you're giving bullet points of your engineering background. So that's not a mismatch. And the recruiter who's looking for a role, he doesn't have the time to see, oh, Webhub has done engineering. He might be a good product manager. He doesn't have empathy for you. He wants to know if this person would add value. No, there are 100 more resumes. Right? So getting the resume right, getting, and people use buzzwords a lot. And that's a big no-no in product management. People then, about these buzzwords, stakeholder collaboration. That's like the
C-suite engagement.
C-suite engagement, stakeholder collaboration.
Customer satisfaction.
Synergy is a really big one, synergy.
Synergy.
And what does that actually mean?
And also people tend to inflate all sorts of buzzwords in their resume, but they don't tend to make sense. And the decision makers do see that. So you, first of all, and I'm not saying this for other roles, but specifically for the product management role, you need to know what you're talking about on your resume. And just, running it through ChatGPT to make your resume better won't, help you.
We've hit on that so many times.
Oh, yeah. We've
People on LinkedIn, you have every other person telling you, oh, use ChatGPT for your resume. I'll get this ATS verified. Do you actually even know how to do that? Do you?
Yeah, that's a pitfall you don't want to get into.
Yeah, and people tend to do this thing also, and I'm sure you guys are aware of it, that they take the job description, ask ChatGPT,
copy paste, change it, have a CV that matches that,
and try to create a resume. Those things won't work because they know where you came from, and once they're interested, they'll try to follow your progress, and then that's where the second stage of rejections comes in.
The story unfolds, and it's like, this guy is not what he is talking about.
So that was September 2023. Right after MBA came a realization okay, MBA does have a huge overlap, but you need to know product management. They're looking for subject experts because it's a very niche role. So I started, with a CSPO certification, and I encourage people to do that, a certified Scrum product owner certification. That would open up your mind of how product management actually works, what are the relevant frameworks, how prioritization works, how sprint planning, sprint management, product backlog prioritization that people see in every job description. And that's one of the most important parts of product owner, backlog refinement, and all the other frameworks you see. And you need to know how to, apply them in real world situations. And that comes with experience plus a certain level of expertise. And that's why I took the CSP role. And then there was this product management certification, Hello PM, I took, and I worked with industry leading mentors who work in Facebook, Meesho, you might know in India.
Oh, actually, I've heard of one of my best friends back home. He used to work for Meesho.
Yeah. So one of the best product managers in India, they're coming from Meesho, Gagan Mahajan. He's there.
He went from Meesho to Amex.
Meesho, Meesho, and there are many 2-3 companies that kind of pivot for big companies. So you need to be connected with these mentors and understand actually what user research is. When you say product strategy, you can't just write it and expect something to happen. You need to know what product strategy actually means. Product road mapping. It's project road mapping and product road mapping. Is the difference is day and night. So it's not the same thing. So product road mapping, user research, user discovery, product analytics. These are the 5 things a product manager should know. First is user research, product road mapping, product analytics, product growth, and I think these 4
Those
are
the main
enough.
ones.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you have all that technical knowledge.
Yeah.
But you're applying. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And you're naturally thinking it's the CV that needs to be changed, or I need to do something more, because we started working together.
Yeah.
And then you started getting interviews.
Yeah, I was coming to that.
Yeah.
So all these things were there. But still, although I did get some traction after a while, But still, the kind of response I was expecting, I was not getting there. And then I happened to got on this ad of how to job CV, and that was a very interesting one about for the data analyst role, and they were saying this we follow a structured process. And then I went to the website of how to job CV, and his photo was there.
Yeah.
The first one where he landed
poster
the job.
child.
Yeah, he landed the job at London Stock Exchange, and it seemed very legit, and I actually booked a conversation with Milo, and let's give it a chance. Otherwise, I would have given up, because it's very depressing after 1 year if you're not getting a job.
Man, 1 year, 3 interviews, and all of them were screening interviews. And
I knew people who applied to 3,000 jobs, 2 interviews, first stage only.
3,000 jobs, 2 interviews.
3,000 jobs. I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up.
Wow.
And I know people who still don't have an interview applying for last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm hearing more and more people who are
Yeah.
just doing 2 years of applications, nothing's happening, which is insane. So the market's really messed up.
Yeah, because people tend to say because of AI, ChatGPT, it has a point, it has an impact. But because of all the funding that was taken from these consumer-based companies, they're now looking for specialists, and it's kind of okay to lay off people and have specific experts in the company. So you gotta live with the time. But yeah, coming back to our point, I booked a call with Milo on how to job. And like on our first call, he's like, okay, I've worked with people like you in this particular domain. And I had the first question, when can I get a job? I asked him, like, how long will it take? This is my experience. And apparently he was pretty positive when he saw my LinkedIn. He said, like, why don't you have a job already? And I told him, and then he understood, okay, you're not following the right process and the structure. And he actually gave me like kind of I wouldn't say guarantee, but he was very sure that, okay, I can guarantee this to you, within the 6 months, you will have an offer in your hand. And I was like, what is he talking about? Like, we're going to be following this funnel strategy of 100 leads, which will be converted to 20 conversions of, a reply from the recruiter or the decision makers,
20
out of which
engagements,
50% of them would be into informational interview and 50% of it would be result in an interview. And I didn't believe at first, but he was so confident, like, does he really know what the market, or he's just saying things out of it? But I still gave it a go. And to my surprise, and those 20 connects are every day was, and I tend to see, the market was kind of opening for me. I was not seeing the jobs I was not seeing before started to come up on LinkedIn apparently. And earlier I used to send these, 300 character one with a LinkedIn gold one, and use in mail credits for long mail, never get a reply. And now I've started to get replies, and I know what to say next, and
which is 3 sentences. You send a 3-sentence message people, and they're like, oh wow, it's actually working.
Right.
Like a short and sweet message, really minimal, to the point, and it works like a treat. Yeah.
And in the starting, I didn't feel like, why would it work? But to my surprise, it did start working. Yeah.
And I think I predicted like 6 weeks.
And I got in like 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the fastest.
So you got, after applying for a year and getting only 3 interviews, you got into a job in 3 weeks with How to Job.
Yeah. I think we started in June, right? June starting?
June, I think so, yeah.
May and June starting.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I had my interview for that
this year?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And I got my job on July 10th. I mean, I started on July 10th. I got the final interview on July 4th. So yeah, it had started weeks ago. But that only opened up because I was connected with other people. I mean, people say, no, you got, because the recruiter called you. No, because the market opened up because of what I was doing. And not the market opened up, but the LinkedIn algorithm worked in my favor.
You became more favorable to the market, and you started playing the game, which a lot of people don't know. Yeah. And when I say the game, it's not a game that is rigged against you.
It feels like it's rigged against you. Yeah. It feels like it's rigged against you, but if you do the right things, you can get into roles relatively quickly. So in your case, it was like 1 year doing what university tells you to do, which is apply and wait. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That turns into nothing. But in 3 weeks.
And I tried the Rook
methodology.
3 is a charm.
From Trojan Horse.
And Yeah, what was it? The horse one?
Trojan Horse.
Trojan Horse. Yeah.
Trojan Horse, yeah.
Yeah, I think that one was the kind of game changer where we started going towards the decision makers in the Three's a Charm one.
Yeah.
And that's where I started seeing traction. It was not just Equivital. I wouldn't say just Equivital, but other companies also, and he knows. And I was getting traction with decision makers and some information interviews. And they would have converted, but I got this one first. So yeah.
So anyone watching and I'm thinking, what did we just talk about with Trojan Horse and Rook? Check out the link in below. There's a link for our How to Job Plus platform, where we go into more detail about all these methodologies and how you can use them to get your dream role and get connected with the right people to help you, get your foot through the door.
And if you do click on the link, there's an application we have on the actual platform. So you can apply to the program and we can assess if it's going to help you and if you can use it to get into a role. But 3 weeks, that's amazing. I actually thought it was 6 weeks for some weird reason, but 3 weeks. I think you're the fastest student to get a role.
6th week when I started.
Okay, 6th week when you started.
But on the third week, I had the interview. Third week, I had the interview, yeah.
And then what happened when you actually got the offer? Because we worked on the algorithm of LinkedIn, the SSI score, and then you started noticing, okay, I've got an offer. But now all these other companies are starting reaching out to me.
That's pretty interesting.
To hire me.
The day I started working, and like within 1 week, some AI company with almost double the salary, like this, they were poaching me.
Ouch.
And before I would, send like hundreds of people messages and they wouldn't even give me a minute of the day and I wouldn't get a reply. And now I'm telling them, okay, I might reply. And they're waiting for me. And then I reply them and then we have a conversation. And this was not once, twice. I had like 4 or 5 people approach me for a role in London, Birmingham, and Bristol as well. So that was kind of a surprising thing what actually happened there. And I call him up. I was like, what's happening?
That's interesting. And so can you talk a little bit about the Three's a Charm technique and how did that work for you?
So the Three's a Charm, I remember the techniques, but I'll just confirm with you. Mm-hmm. That was the one where you go to every company and reach out to 3 people.
Yeah. And you're genuinely speaking to people who are actually doing the job you want to do.
Right.
And you're able to then ask them for advice.
Yeah.
Not just saying, hey, here's my CV, can I get a job? You're like, you're doing a job I want to do. You're a product manager. I want to be a product manager. If there's one particular key metric of success, what would it be? From your perspective. And then these people who are actually doing the job you want to do give you advice about how to get the job in their companies, which is a completely different way of thinking about job search.
Yeah.
Which is what I think worked for you the most.
Yeah. And Three's a Charm, like basically people who are the decision makers who work with you if you get the job and, understand, not like, hey, I want a job. That never works.
I think we need to get that frame.
That's a slogan for how to job. Like, we should just put it below the logo.
Hi, any jobs?
Don't say this. Hi, any jobs.
And like, they won't even take you seriously if you go like that. And you go up to them and you ask them like, okay, how the company culture and values or, that drives innovation and, how the way of working in your company aligns with my way of working in the past. Mm-hmm. That's where the things get interesting. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they won't even have the time to read them because they get hundreds of messages like that. So you need to stand out and you need to actually look legit. So just using ChatGPT is not going to help you because almost everyone else are doing the same thing. And I can guarantee this to you, 40% of them are sending the same message. The same job description.
100%.
So your LinkedIn ad notes were not like ad notes, but they were very genuine and they started adding value. And that was actually what we are looking for, but we don't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to communicate that earlier.
How to articulate that. Yeah.
And
like a genuine, authentic sort of opener. And then once you get a response, you can start to figure out, okay, now what am I going to say? Because you might be asking for advice and then someone gives you advice about how to be a product manager. They may say, in our company, we really like people who are empaths. They're like, we want people who have high empathy. And then if you have high empathy, you can respond in your own way to be quite genuine, to say, hey, that's me. And then you can ask for meetings and then you can get more like recommendations, which is a good thing to know. But you have to know yourself to know how to do that. Yeah. And I think what helped you really interestingly was the job search power pack, because we kind of gave you like all this data on you. Yeah. Like, okay, this is all the stuff that I didn't know. Now I know which companies to reach out to, what to say, to who and how and when. Do you think that was a game changer as well?
Right. Yeah. You tend to, you get to know about yourself, like, okay, you're a good applicant for the roles that you never even thought that you can think of. You didn't even know existed. So yeah, the job search Power Pack not only looks at your past experiences, but searches through the entire repository of databases and, tries to get a good match, what you have, what you're lacking, and how to reach there. It's a pretty long document, I have to say.
Yeah.
But
I remember when you first got it, you told me like, oh my God, there's like so much stuff here, right?
what is this? but after that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. You have the resume ready and you have the cover letter ready, and it makes sense. It's not just,
why it's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, for joining us on the podcast. I mean, this has been amazing. And anyone obviously looking at the story and listening to us, there's a ton of resources on the description that you can click on. If you need some advice, reach out to us. If you want to look at some of the programs that Dushyant used, you can, and you can apply to those. And there's a lot of stuff that we try to share. So,
True story.
But thank you so much for the mini MBA, man. That was mind blowing.
Sorry if I spoke too.
No. That was awesome, and I think a lot of people are going to take a lot of value from everything that you explain and the courses that they can do in order to get into a product management role. So thank you so much, and I think that's a nice way to wrap it up.
100%. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.